Welcome everyone to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body, the 10-week journey to harmonize your biofield, clear blocked energy, and raise your voltage. I'm Lisa Bonise, and it's my honor to be hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Eileen McKusick and address questions about her upcoming 10-week course, Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body, which begins Tuesday, August 6th. And later, I'll explain how you can participate in this course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Eileen McKusick is the founder of Bottenfield Tuning, a groundbreaking sound therapy modality. Having spent over 20 years researching the electromagnetic field that surrounds the human body, she's meticulously mapped it, revealing the influence of magnetic fields on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Based on her master's thesis, exploring the effects of audible sound on the human body and its biofield, Eileen's book, Tuning the Human Biofield, won the Nautilus Award and received widespread acclaim. Eileen is the founder of the Bottenfield Tuning Institute, which is partnering with the Institute of Noetic Sciences to apply the scientific method to the biofield anatomy hypothesis. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions. But first, I want to welcome Eileen, who's going to begin our time together by leading us in a centering practice. Welcome, Eileen. I'm so glad to have you back with us again.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's great to be back. So we're going to just spend just a couple minutes getting started being together with just a little centering and grounding and breathing. It's really what Bottenfield Tuning is all about. I'm going to do a little more tuning at the end, but I dragged out a fork for the moment, and I'm just going to strike it a few times and just kind of guide you into your body and maybe a little bit deeper breath and relaxation. So I want you to breathe into your belly, down into your belly, and the Bottenfield Tuning breath that we do in this work involves discharging the exhale down into the ground. So I'm going to strike the fork. I'm going to invite you to breathe into your lower abdomen, relax the area around your tailbone, and then when you exhale, just imagine that you can really just send that energy just right down into the ground. Okay, so just breathing into the belly, and then when you exhale, make some sound when you do it. So just relaxing and releasing, and on the exhale, an audible breath. If you even feel like it, you can make some sound like ah, or whatever kind of sound wants to come out, or just breath. Let's just do that a few times. Letting any tension in your shoulders or your jaw just sort of drain right down the spine and let it just sort of flush out. You can even send the energy down your legs and out your feet. So you can do both, breathing into the belly, taking a really big breath, like challenge yourself to take, like how much can you fill up your belly? Really fill that up and then really let it out. So we'll do a couple more of those and then just come back to breathing normally. Anytime you start to feel tensed up during your day, you can just remember to breathe into your belly and then exhale out into the ground. It's just a really simple way to bring yourself, out of this and just into a more settled place. Okay, so that's it for now. Later on, we'll do an actual little bit more of a tuning, but let's hear some questions.
All right. Thank you, Eileen. I really needed that. All right. So we have the rest of our time together to dive into our viewers' questions for Eileen as we prepare for her course. Again, that's called Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body. And again, it begins Tuesday, August 6th. And if you want to check out the website and learn more about the 10-week course, you can visit yourelectricbodyadvanced.com to see the full description. So let's go ahead and get started with the questions. We've got some great ones already lined up, but if you've got a question for Eileen, go ahead and just type it in, and I'll be happy to read them aloud. And in the meantime, let's start with a pretty basic question that a lot of people are asking. People are wondering, what suggestions do you have about purchasing tuning forks? And if they do take the course, can any tuning fork be used? So let's go ahead and talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, so that's even though we try to make it really clear that this is not a class on me teaching you how to use tuning forks, people seem to associate me with tuning forks for some reason and learning tuning forks. I'm not teaching you how to use tuning forks in this course. This is a course about you and your healing. I am, and me as a practitioner, not as a tuning fork instructor. And I am going to work on you, and you are going to receive. And that's what it's really about. It's about you, getting the place where you're designed to go, to reach your potential, to it's not about you going out and helping other people, although, everybody wants to. And, you're going to learn from watching me what I do and what biofield tuning looks like. But it doesn't count towards biofield tuning education. It doesn't mean you get out of foundations class if you want to take a class. We only do training hands-on, because there's a lot of nuances and a kind of personal transmission that happens. And our classes are small. There are only 10 to 11 students with 2 teachers, and they go on for 3 days. It's very intensive training. And then you got another 5-day training after that. So what I am recommending that people get is a tuning fork that I designed for your own personal use, called a sonic slider. And you, when you buy that, it shows you how to use it on your own body. And you can have that with you when you are receiving sessions. If you feel like you're tense anywhere, you can activate this fork. You don't hear the sonic slider. It's a weighted tuning fork, which means you feel the vibration. So you can place the handle of it on you. Maybe your diaphragm feels tight. You're going to activate your fork and put it on your diaphragm. So that's what I recommend. I'm not, if you want to become a practitioner, there is a kit, a biofield tuning tool kit on my website that has instructional videos in it. It has my book. It has all the forks that you need to be a practitioner. And that's a place to start. So you can start studying at home. You can use it on friends and family. And then if you want to go into professional certification, you can sign up for a hands-on class.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was very helpful. And in fact, this is a perfect segue into our next question. You were talking about how the sonic slider, you can't hear so much. And Bruce has a question. He says, I've become pretty deaf, especially high frequency, hearing loss from too many good rock concerts, alas. I found that most tuning forks are very hard for me to hear well. Is our ability to hear the tones an integral part of the energy shifting?
No, it's really not, because this is an energy transmission. And when I first started doing distance tuning fork work, first of all, I didn't believe it was possible. I was extremely skeptical and even sort of arrogant and smug about the fact that biofield tuning could not be conducted at a distance, because it was sound waves on the body. I was like, this is physics, people. Like, it's not done at a distance. But then I was persuaded into doing an experiment on a friend who is an MD, and he was in California, and I was in Vermont, and we connected by intention. We did not have any open lines of, no phone, no internet, nothing. I just tuned into his hologram, like I'm going to do here with the group, tune into the hologram, the imaginary, body. And much to my amazement, the same ability that I have to both read and adjust the biomagnetic field of the body, I could do it over an empty table. And I was astonished. And I had to kind of report to everybody that I had been wrong about doing tuning at a distance. And for all intents and purposes, it was almost exactly like having a body there. So there wasn't any need for him to hear what would be diminished tones anyway through my cell phone. Excuse me. He was able to feel it through his energy body, through the ether. Excuse me, I got a tickle. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you don't need to hear it. And that's all I have to say on that one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go to, we're getting a lot of questions about the healing uses. Can you talk about how the tuning forks or how the biofield work? How it actually works on healing. People are asking about specific things like cancer and arthritis, et cetera. And obviously you can't give medical advice, but can you just address just the overall concepts of healing, how it works?
Sure. The body breaks down essentially because the blueprint gets all blurry. We get noise in our signal because we take hits in life. You know, we go through divorces or bankruptcies. Excuse me. And all of those things cause us to tense up and to stop flow in our system. So blood and lymph just don't flow properly. So basically all biofield tuning does is get you to relax. It gets you to bring breath into places where, you know, you are holding subconscious tension from your abusive dad, you know, from your crazy mom, from your mean siblings, from your punitive teachers, from your emotionally unavailable spouses. You know, there's just no end of places where life kind of puts us into a kind of contraction. And then the breath doesn't flow there. And that's where disease starts. So I know it sounds very simple, but just by getting the noise out of the signal, the resistance out of the flow, the body self-repairs. You know, the body is designed to fix itself. We just need to get the obstacles out of the way. So, you know, in biofield tuning, we don't treat anything. We just find areas where there's subconscious tension being held and release that so that the body can go about its business of keeping everything in order.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, and while we're on the topic of healing, let's go to Philip's question. Philip says, will using the tuning fork cause what's known as a healing crisis? I mean, will it make things worse before they get better, or is healing an immediate improvement? He says, I've been reluctant to use one because I don't have the time or energy to deal with worsened symptoms.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't take this class then, because detox happens in this work. You know, when we iron the noise out of the signal, the equivalent that's in the cells releases. It's like one of the people who was in the last class said she woke up one morning after one of the modules that we did. It was like seeing through new eyes, and she was looking around at all the clutter in her home, and she was like, what is this? And she had the energy to go and to bust out all that clutter. She got rid of a ton of stuff. A lot of people reported that. It's one of the things that biofield tuning does, is it cleans up the clutter inside, which then gives you the energy to clean up the clutter outside. As we induce more order in our inner world, that gets reflected in our outer world. And if you've ever cleaned out an attic or a basement, you know that that's messy business. You're dragging stuff through the house, you're bringing it out to the dumpster needs to be picked up. Like, there's a lot of junk in our systems. And it can be emotional junk, you know, emotions that we never let ourselves feel. Like this work rattles that stuff up and out, and you find yourself having like emotional discharges, and maybe, you know, bathroom interesting things, mucus. Like, it can be really messy business, and it requires time and energy and commitment. But if you've ever cleaned out an attic or a basement, you know how good it feels when that's all done. You know how good it feels to have your closets be clean, or to, you know. Anytime you've done a big cleaning and reorganizing project, there's a feeling of rest and repose and a kind of awe with the spaciousness and the cleanliness. But sometimes the process is ugly and messy and takes, you know, it's just more uncomfortable than you want it to be. But it's definitely worth it.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Melinda's question, who says, how can we use the sonic slider on our teeth and gums?
You don't. So we recommend that you absolutely keep it away from your mouth. It says it when you go to buy it. It's the only caution that I have. I'm just concerned because it's vibration, that if anybody has a tooth that's a little bit loose, when you add vibration to something like a loose tooth, that can make it looser. So I just advise everybody, keep it away. When I use it around my mouth, I puff up my cheeks. I don't let the vibration touch my teeth. So I would just advise to not use the sonic slider in that way.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. We've got a few people asking, we haven't mentioned this yet, but this would be a good time, that if you sign up for the 10-week course, you also will receive the previous 7-week course that you just completed recently. So people are asking, if they didn't take the 7-week course and they do sign up for the 10-week, do you recommend that they plow through the 7 weeks quickly, or how would you recommend that they do both of them?
Yeah, it's heavy duty. I mean, you're watching a video and it's me waving tuning forks over an empty table and I'm talking about this and that, what I'm discovering and finding. But it can be really surprisingly impactful to your system, and it can create detox. So some people kind of sail through and it's not such a big deal. Others find that, that the sessions hit them kind of hard, and that, you need naps and you need baths and you need downtime. I think the bare minimum that you can do between sessions is 2 days. Like, I wouldn't do multiple ones in a day. I mean, you could, but, I would just really proceed with caution. It would be great if you could at least get a few of the first modules in. I think that you can do them simultaneously. I think that you can maybe do 2 a week. You can do one from the old one and then one new one, and one from the old one and one, so that, you are going to be both going up and down at the same time. Because at the bottom, the first one, we start at the feet and the knees and the 7 major chakras. And then this next one, we're going in the half steps in between. So we're going hairline, philtrum, we're working our way down. My intuitive sense is that you can combine them, and it could be a very interesting experience, but it's going to be intense. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of transformation, and you've got to be really ready to, for whatever it brings you, because it can bring a lot. It can bring, all like new experiences. Like, things can really change. That's what everybody's after. You want change. You're not doing these kinds of courses unless you're looking for change. But part of the reason why you haven't found change, the change that you're looking for, is that change is disruptive. Change, things end and new things start. And, like I said, junk gets cleared out and makes way for new. And this course will do that for you. It will. And, but just be mindful that, I warned you. And I will just say that it's worth the ride. Sometimes people can go into spells of wild eating, lots of emotion coming up. But, one of our biggest saying in Bottenfield Tuning is better out than in, because it's the stuff that's stuck in us that causes disease. It's the unexpressed emotions. It's just all the gunk held back by restriction. And then when we let it out, it really does come out. And so, doing 17, or I think it'll be a total of, we're going to do it will be 15 adjustments from me, which is a lot, a lot of work, and powerful work. And then we get to do a group healing at the end. So we're all going to, this is my favorite part of this, because if you've done 17 sessions with me, you're going to be a coherent emitter. And the world needs more coherent emitters. And there'll be hundreds of you. And it's my plan to harness that coherence of the group that has taken place. And we definitely saw a lot of bonding, like through the Facebook group in the last 7 weeks. And then I know as we go into these next 10, we're going to even deepen that, so that we have a group at the end that can then work together to turn our focus outward, that we become the tuning fork. We become, I'm like a flashlight, but all of us together are like a lighthouse. And, if I can affect you, just me with a tuning fork at a distance through intention, just think about what we can all do together. So I know we all want to make a difference in the world, and there's strength in numbers, especially people who are, clear and relaxed and coherent and focused. So we're going to decide together as we go what we want to put our coherence to use for in the world. It might be that we really want to bless the water and intend for solutions to the world's water problems, or, encourage a sense of unity, because that's what we really need, is to get over our illusion of separation and really realize we're all brothers and sisters here on planet Earth. So there's a number of things that we can do together. So that is, I don't know what the original question was, but I definitely wanted to get that point across.
Okay, thank you. Well, your comments here are leading into other questions coming in. People are asking about, you're talking about what happened in the previous class. People are asking about if they can't be there live. You were talking earlier about doing distance work, but that's at the same time. So people who weren't there during the 7 weeks, or even people who can't attend the 10-week course, as you're doing it, how does it work if you're not present at the exact time that you're doing the work?
Well, the fact of the matter is that all of these sessions are pre-recorded. They have to be. So nobody has seen any of them live, and nobody ever will. I'm the only one who gets to experience them live. In order for us to, because I travel continuously, I'm going to be in I'm just, never mind where I am and where I've been, but I'm constantly on the road. And so to ensure, quality videography and sound and internet and all of that, the only way that we could do this was to pre-record the sessions. In fact, I pre-recorded Module 1 and Module 2 today. So I've actually already received those, and I'll tell you what, I was really glad to. That was, I worked on this and this, and really felt it. I was driving home, and I felt really oddly relaxed, in a way that I don't usually, because this particular area, the philtrum, this is all like when you go into sympathetic nervous system on. And so, even though I was working up here, my shoulders were like, wow, I feel really relaxed. And then I noticed when I was singing in the car on the way back here today that my voice was much more resonant. So, those files are in the ether. You can download them with your intention without even signing up for the course, by just sitting and tuning in to that. Distance doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. When we work in the ether is beyond time and space. I create these files, put them in the ether, and then you download them. But what is kind of cool about the broadcasts is that I do watch them live. So I'm sort of sitting there receiving the session again and breathing, kind of amplifying the signal. And then I come on live for Q&A afterwards. And that's fun to be able to do. And then they do the breakout groups. And I think people had a lot of fun in the breakout groups last time. And there was this really nice bonding that happened. So it doesn't, one of the things, the examples I give is, have you ever listened to a piece of music that was recorded maybe a long time ago and you weren't there? But did you feel moved by that piece of music? Like, did that music reach out across time and space and move you? Right? I think everybody's had that experience. And this is the same kind of thing, it's a transmission that's created, but it embodies the spirit of the time and space that it was done. And so when you're exposed to it, you're in it, you feel it, you're experiencing it, just like it's happening in real time.
Okay, great. Thank you. We've got a lot of people asking too, are tune-ups permanent, or do they need to be redone over and over again? How does that work?
They're cumulative is probably the best way to describe it. What we're doing with the tuning fork is we're sort of training the body's magnetic field into a more relaxed, coherent, kind of factory settings kind of expression. By adjusting the flow, the rhythms, the patterns in the field, we're coaxing the field to like come to center and settle down. Just come to center, settle down, just come into neutral, just be here now. And, we have lifetime patterns. We have ancestral patterns that want to like crank us up and kerfluffle about this and stress about that and worry about this and struggle with that and feed that drama and tell this story. And, it's all noise in the signal. And most of it's completely unnecessary. We do a lot of unnecessary suffering and struggling. That's just habits of our nervous system. And so, sometimes a tune-up can really like settle something down, never comes back up. But, if your dad told you for 18 years every day that you were, not a good person, that you just really punished your self-worth, your habit of low self-worth isn't something we fix in one session. That's like deeply ingrained, and it takes a fair amount of repetition to come out of that reactive state of feeling ashamed and low self-worth and all of that. So I've received hundreds of sessions. I put myself in every group I've ever done, hundreds of those. Plus I've received sessions. I receive sessions regularly from my students, my colleagues, my teachers. So the more you receive, the better you feel. Your keel gets deeper, your fuse gets longer and longer. Your ability to experience joy and compassion and appreciation and good humor spontaneously, increases and increases. I just taught an advanced module 1 course. These are really fun to teach because people have been through, their certification program, and they've been practicing for a while, and they've given and received a lot of sessions. And in these classes, we always just laugh a lot. We just laugh and laugh because people are more free. They're not in their stories and their suffering, and they're much more able to show up and be playful. So, your ability to get lighter and lighter and more grounded, more and more centered, more and more neutral, more and more patient, all of that just comes with every session. We've all got a lot of tangles in our system, and it took a lifetime to put those tangles in, and you can't comb them all out at once because you identify with your tangles. The self is about the struggle and the ego and the pain body and all of that. And if we were to take all that away at once, you wouldn't necessarily have any sense of who you are without all that. So it's a process of detangling and strengthening that core, detangling and strengthening that core, so that you start to associate less and less with your perturbations and more with your calm center.
Okay, perfect. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Eileen McKusick learning about her upcoming course. It's called Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body, which begins Tuesday, August 6th. And you can log on to yourelectricbodyadvanced.com for all the details and to register. So let's go to a question here from Christina, who wants to know, she's actually talking about, you had a conversation with Stephen Dynam where you were talking about the contents of this specific upcoming course. So the question is, how did your concept of half steps come about? The verbiage around half step explanation is very strong. Why do they seem to be more of a deeper clean than the basic chakras?
So I think that I think it was maybe 3 years ago that I'd been wondering about it. I'm thinking it's kind of a long way from the feet to the knees, and it's a really long way from the knees to the root. So here's these swaths of biofield that I hadn't been exploring. And so I just started wondering what was going on there. And so my first exploration was I did 6 different sessions, 2 series of 3. These audio sessions that I do, and I went exploring them and mapped those and discovered that that they had their own kind of things, just like chakras do, tendencies, expressions, proclivities, associations within the body, and they're all. In fact, somebody recently told me that in cranial sacral work, that what I'm describing as far as the half steps go are what they call diaphragms. And, the one up here is probably like the top of your brain and as it fits in the skull. And then here is the, what's holding your brain up inside your skull and the reptilian brain. I'm not sure about the high heart, but then it's the actual diaphragm. And then we're in the pelvic floor. So these are all places where we freeze. So much of the sympathetic nervous response, they talk about fight or flight. But what I really see in most people, especially the kinds of people that I work with, is freeze. And, we just lock up. And so our diaphragm locks and our, just all of these places that should be flexible and flowing have got various degrees of tension in them. And so, and it's all very subconscious. When something happens that triggers you, you don't have a moment to stop and go, this is a bad idea. It just comes up out of nowhere, and you're like flying off the handle, or, road rage or whatever, your kind of knee jerk startle responses that causes difficulty and stress in our lives. And it can come up in all different kinds of ways. But this is a way of getting into that programming. I even noticed, just from what I did today, how much more relaxed I was. And it's simple. The more flow we have in the system, the less tension, the less we're going to spring with anything or fuss or fret or, any of the things we do. One of the other thoughts that comes to mind is around prosperity. I think that, if you've ever had that experience of like having to write a big check for a car repair when you don't have a lot of money in the bank, what are you doing? You're like pulling up, pulling in, pulling back, resisting flow. A really simple trick to becoming more abundant is just reversing that. Whenever you notice that you're going, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough, I'm not enough, it's not enough, or this is all wrong, or whatever you're doing, that's pulling that contraction. It's coming from these diaphragms. It's coming from this very deep subconscious programming. I would invite you to just, next time you have to write a big check, just feel like, I'm abundant. Reverse the flow. And so the more we relax, the more we enter into a sense of connection to the world around us. That's really where abundance comes from. Nature and the universe are riotously abundant, and we're part of all that. And it's our very nature to be abundant and connected. But we, life for many of us, traumatic or whatever, and we just have this retreat and pull in really wired into our system. So it reduces our performance with anything. In order to be a good athlete, you need to be relaxed. In order to be a great musician, you really got to be relaxed in your playing. Great singer, to really be good at anything, to be great at anything, you've really got to be deeply relaxed and present in what you're doing. So this process of becoming more relaxed enhances everything that you do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now, I know you've touched on this, but here's a specific question from Ed who says, can tuning the electric body clear physical or non-physical childhood traumas, whether they're conscious or subconscious? And if so, could you explain how that works?
Yeah, we definitely clear a lot of that stuff. And what's neat is that because of the way that we're accessing the subconscious, we're able to get into all that pre-verbal, precognitive stuff. So we can feel into ancestral influences. We can sense what the in utero environment was like. We can read what happened in the birth experience. Birth trauma really comes through. That comes in at the outer edge of the field. The fork will hit that place in the record of, so we see the biofield as a memory. It holds all our memories in this very specific format. I've worked with people who've had incredibly intense anxiety, and we've traced it back to their birth experience, like an incredibly traumatic birth, settled that down, that core original frequency, and it happens just, here's the fork, it's vibrating in this spot, it's resonating with that information, that noise, it's sending it into the whole body, it's being witnessed by the practitioner. And what the body does is it hears and it feels. It's almost like looking in the mirror and seeing you got spinach in your teeth, because now you see it, you can correct it. And so it's like showing the body, hey, listen and feel this. This is all chaotic over here. In the body, it's organizing intelligence, the same intelligence that will heal a wound, or that will use vitamin C in your body to make sure you don't get scurvy. We'll use that coherent input of sound to relax down that signal and to harmonize it until it starts to ring clear and easy. And suddenly all this deep tension that's been present, this vibration of anxiety and distress, is gone. And then it gets really quiet inside. And then you're less reactive because that sort of core original input has been settled. So sometimes it can be very dramatic. Sometimes there's physical pain in the body, but any kind of physical pain that people have is usually, in my experience, from some kind of input, from some kind of difficult input that they had, whether it was old. People get to be 60 and these stressful inputs of childhood start to break down their body. If you're physically or, emotionally, mentally abused in childhood, there's a lot of this going on deep inside of you. It sort of rattles your cells and your organs and makes things start to fail. But everything, when we quiet everything down and we clarify that signal, then the body becomes a happier place where everything starts functioning the way that it's supposed to. So, can we heal from that kind of trauma? Absolutely. I've seen countless people step out of old pain and stories and trauma and my story, and just take it off like it's a heavy coat on a hot day and step into a place of freedom beyond story. And it's absolutely possible, and it's efficient in getting you to do that.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you. We got a question here from V who says, can you explain the distinction between raising your vibration and raising your voltage? What does that mean?
That's a good question. Well, I know what people mean when they say raise your vibration. It's about getting into the good stuff, the love, compassion, kindness, gratitude, all that. That's a place that we want to live in. But as a sound therapist and as a writer, I pay really close attention to words and how, when we use words, how it makes us feel. And there's something about raising your vibration, this idea somehow that higher is better. Like in the hierarchy of vibrations, high is good and low is bad. And technically that's just kind of incorrect, because, there are waveforms in the universe that are like light years across from crest to trough. There's waves in existence that are just unimaginably low. Are those bad? Those low vibrations? What people are really talking about is they're talking about heavy vibrations. They're talking about stuck vibrations. They're talking about parts of ourselves that we're resisting, your shame or your anger or your rage or your powerless, whatever your icky, shadowy stuff is. There's a tendency to want to bypass that and just go up here and be like, this world is unpleasant. And so I'm going to ascend into something, up here. And I think that plays into a lot of people who've had trauma and the tendency to want to disassociate, to kind of want to go up and out. And so, I think that what we want to do, we want to clarify our vibrations, or we want to release our heavy vibrations and evolve into our light. I mean, we really are beings of light in a purely biological way. I think that one of these weird divisions between science and spirituality is this idea that the light body is some kind of just only spiritual thing. But it's really a biological reality. You're electric. Your heart is electric, your brain is electric, your bones are electric. Everything about you is electric, and it's all light information signaling that's going on all the time. So, your electric body, we don't necessarily want to raise the vibration of it. We want to raise the strength of it. We want you to go from being a 25 watt bulb to a 50 watt bulb to a 75 watt bulb to being a 100 watt bulb. More juice, more strength, more light, more power. And a lot of that comes from actually descending into our bodies and being able to be comfortable, in our core. Like, how many people are really comfortable? How many people really consciously reside in their belly from the inside out with a sense of pleasure and power? Most of us have been shamed into hating our bellies and judging our core. But, in order to manage our lives better, we've got to be stronger. You've got to be, imagine if you had twice the amount of strength and power and energy that you have now. You'd finish things, you'd start things, you'd do cool stuff. You would do more and be more, and you would realize yourself more. And it takes more strength and more energy to do that. Not higher vibes. So, I get it when people say, I want to raise my vibration, but it's not a language that I use, just because I'm more interested in, I want to get you into your vibrational sweet spot. That's probably the best way to describe it, where you're strong and bright with good, strong voltage.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And looking at the clock here, we have time for a few more questions, but before we take those, I want to give a few details about the course. A lot of people are asking about these details as well, so this is a good time to do that. Once again, the name of the course is Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body, and this is going to be a 10-week journey under Eileen's expert guidance where you'll clear energy blocks in your half-step zones to harmonize your whole electric body, calm your nervous system, and boost your immunity. And you'll also receive weekly tune-ups to detect dissonance and restore resonance in your biofield via the vibrational cues of a tuning fork. And the 10-week course takes place on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific, starting Tuesday, August 6th. And if you can't join us live, that's fine. As we've mentioned, in case you missed us talking about it, you won't miss the teachings if you're not there live. That's not a problem at all. You will receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. And also, I'd like to remind everyone that the Shift Network offers a no-risk money-back guarantee on all of our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until August 20th in this case to make sure that you absolutely love it. And as an added option, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can stay connected with one another. Also, everyone who registers receives the Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body bonus collection. First, you'll receive a 3-part audio program from Eileen entitled Increasing Prosperity and Abundance. Next, you'll get an audio session from Eileen called Exploring the Interstitium. Then you'll receive a set of 2 audio meditations from Eileen entitled Water Story and Water Blessing. And you'll also get a video teaching from Eileen called Using Tuning Forks on Yourself. And plus, you receive a 20% discount on the Sonic Slider tuning fork. And when you register by midnight Pacific on Tuesday, July 23rd, you'll receive an extra gift, and that is an audio dialogue with Eileen and Dondi Dahlin entitled Biofield Tuning and Understanding Health from an Electric and Sonic Perspective. And don't forget, when you sign up for this 10-week journey, you will get instant access to Eileen's first 7-module online course with the Shift Network that we talked about a little earlier. So before we get back into Q&A, Eileen, let me ask you, what are you most looking forward to sharing in your upcoming course?
Oh, well, I just think the whole experience of it, the whole exploration and going through it, think that I'm looking forward to sharing just the outcome, even just what I experienced today in doing these 2 sessions. For anybody who follows me on Facebook, that I'm like constantly traveling. I was just in California for 2 days, came home on a red eye, taught a 3-day class, came in here and filmed. Like I'm constantly on the go. And these sessions, I was actually starting to feel like I was coming down with something, which, I've been sick in years. And I was just, sort of trending in that direction. And when I finished the sessions and I was driving home, I was like, oh my God, I feel completely better. Like I'm just, I feel so relaxed. I feel so clear and light. It's just a really great feeling. And so, the feeling of kind of coming into yourself and being comfortable in your own skin and, lighter when you wake up in the morning and just so many things. I think we all have so much sort of noise and agitation and tension and struggle. And to actually begin to have the experience of all of that sort of just settling down and quieting down. It's like background noise. You know how we get tense when a car alarm is going off or there's, a din, we get kind of tense and annoyed. Well, we have that kind of noise in our own system that's continually influencing us. And so as this noise settles down, you start to enjoy this sense of spaciousness and quiet inside, this ability to kind of sit and listen to the birds and really hear them, have a quiet mind and just be really present. It's kind of Zen, this is the aim of meditation. It's hard to get there by meditation alone because you still have all this going on in your electric body. And when your nervous system, when your electric body settles, when the emotions, that creating ants in your pants or restlessness or food things or addictions or all the stuff that makes us kind of, antsy, then you just can enjoy peace and quiet in your own inner home. And it's really a nice place to get to.
All right, sounds great. We've got a question here from Terry. Terry wants to know, you mentioned that our ancestors are in our field. How can this clear their mistakes, this meaning the course, how can this clear their mistakes or bad behavior and stop them from affecting us?
Well, it's really interesting what I see. It's maybe a little hard to give word to. Most people's bad behavior is not their fault. Garbage in, garbage out. And many people have had many terrible things done to them. Having read Fields, I have a very unique opportunity to really get into people's minds and their hearts and their experiences and their feelings. And I'll tell you what, there's terrible things happen to people. And many people heal and become resilient, but a lot of times these inputs, and they can be ancestral, they can be patterns and ancestral, cause people to act out. We've all done things that we didn't intend to, that we didn't mean to, that just come out of us. Where do these things come from? People do terrible things and then have incredible regret afterwards, because what was the impetus for that bad behavior? I think we live in a time period where we're really fortunate that we have tools to heal, but our ancestors had booze. What do they have to deal with their pain? And so they didn't have, me or other people like me here, like helping you to heal and understand and get clear. They're just inputs. And so having seen such a broad array of the human experience, it really dawned on me that the only logical sentiment to extend to anyone is compassion. Because in any given moment, we have no idea what their past story is, what the story of their ancestors was. We have no idea of what their possible redemption might be, or whatever their soul's journey is. We don't know. We don't have enough information looking from the outside in. We're in no position to judge anyone, and we're in no position to judge ourselves. Really, the only logical sentiment is compassion. And so, healing is getting to a place where we accept the universe, we accept that the divine script writer in the sky knows exactly what it's doing. And, we don't, and we accept because we understand that there's a bigger picture here that we can't see. And so, as far as our ancestors go, I could speak for a long time about this. I guess I am going to be on the Ancestor Summit coming up. So, you'll be able to hear me talk about this for a long time because this is a lot. There's a lot here. We're much more informed by our ancestors' experiences than we realize. And we carry it not just in our biofilm, we carry it in our DNA, our whole being. You were in your grandmother's, right? When your mother was in your grandmother's belly, the egg of you was there. So, you were actually experiencing on a certain level your grandmother's emotional experience and all that. And I see very often how we inherit these tonal proclivities, something like depression or anxiety, and you're like, oh, I'm depressed, it's my depression. What you don't realize is that tone has been in your energetic makeup for generations. And that the roots of that go much deeper than you. So when you heal that, say, depression or sadness, I recently had my grandmother's sadness come up. I was a demo body for a session in a class. And my co-teacher was like, oh, it's Eileen, it's going to be easy. It wasn't. It was like, at the very outer edge of my field, we all got this very strong imprint of my grandmother, my mother's mother, whose name I didn't even know. I never met her. But it was just so obvious that we were playing that string, and it was her heavy sadness, and it had been, and it went through my mom and me. And, a big part of my healing was I just seemed to have like this endless sadness that went on and on and on. And, and then I discovered, wow, it was my mom's sadness. And that really helped me to clear a lot. And I got to the point where I did that feeling of sadness, that background feeling went away. But then all of a sudden, here comes the grandmother energy. And so in the process of just sitting there and receiving that and healing that tonal imprint, her experience that was passed on to me in this it's not woo-woo, it's just biology, that heals her on some level. And then that heals my downline, that heals my kids in some way, because we've taken that tone, that feeling, and brightened it, lightened it, neutralized it, just sent it back to light. And it's not configured in this pattern, in this rhythm anymore. It's been released. And so does that release her soul? I don't know. But there's definitely this feeling that anything that we do in us plays that string, and that string goes back in time, and that string goes forward in time. And if all of a sudden you start playing with a clearer melody and you start harmonizing the dissonances of your ancestors, then they are liberated as well, and as are your descendants and your cousins. It spreads out as well.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours. I would love to hear more. But I'm looking at the clock here, and we were going to do a tuning toward the end of our time together, and we probably ought to go ahead and get to that.
Okay. All right. So, I've done this before. I'm just going to do it backwards this time, just to kind of see what happens. So in Bottenfield Tuning, we usually start by opening and amplifying what we call the earth and sun star chakras. And they're basically like our battery terminals at either end of the central channel of our body. And, we see the electromagnetic body as a toroid with a dual flow, the ascending current and the descending current that flow bidirectionally around the outer boundary and the core of our field. If you've ever gone online, you can go and look up animated torus, and you can see that flow. I was watching a video yesterday that was kind of a neat video. It was lightning, and it was slowed down, like super, super, super slowed down. And so what you see this lightning coming down out of a cloud, and it's sort of, jumping around, it's trying to find where it's going to land. It's going in a zigzaggy path. And what it's doing, and I didn't really realize this, is it's looking for a place where electricity is going to rise up out of the ground and meet it. And so they caught these streamers coming up out of the ground, connecting with the strike coming from the cloud. And that's when it really brightens up, is when that circuit gets connected. That circuit gets connected. And so I was thinking of that's really kind of like this idea of us with this central channel and sort of activating this flow, is the electricity coming down, and it's joining with the electricity coming up, and it completes the circuit. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to bring a little more electricity into your system. Usually I start at the feet, but today I'm going to start at the head. I'm going to start, and we're going to imagine like electric current coming in from the universe down our heads and coming down to join. And then we're going to come and we're going to amplify the lower signal, and we're just going to bring more current into your system. Just kind of see what happens. A little experiment. I can't believe I've actually never done it this way, because I really like experiments. So you can just see what you notice. But what I find is that generally the more we can bring ourselves into an awareness of this central channel, bring ourselves into center, the more even-keeled we become. A lot of times we're just thrashing around and, off balance in our field, running, maybe ancestral pattern, always frustrated, always angry, always sad, whatever that is. That gets interrupted by a strong current running through the center, which is a sort of neutral now. And the more we can bring ourselves into a neutral now, the less stress and wear and tear in our system, basically. And we also get what I call better gas mileage. We are more conservative, more effective with our actions, more focused. So, okay. So what I want you to do is, if you've got water nearby, I invite you to take a swig. This work can make you thirsty because we're moving energy, and we're going to be bringing in some heat. So if you're wearing shoes, I invite you to take them off and sit barefoot. You can also lie down if you want. And I'm going to activate the fork, and I'm just going to have you visualize kind of opening up this central channel from the top of the head. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to activate the Sun Star Energy Center. And I'm just going to invite you to imagine that you can open the top of your crown and start just receiving light. So I'm going to just set that intention of sending this current down and just feel it maybe coming in. Maybe it comes in as photons, as like balls kind of bouncing down. Maybe it's, thinking about that lightning strike, and it's more like a current or a bolt, or multiple bolts kind of coming in and spreading out. And just see if you can feel that energy as we start to activate the descending current. And we're going to send this current all the way down the spine. And I want you to take a breath in your belly. I'm noticing you're holding your breath. So it's really important that you can breathe and visualize at the same time. Good. Okay, so coming down, coming down the chest, maybe coming down to the navel. Maybe you're feeling as it comes down, you want to change your posture, maybe straighten up or stretch. And let's let that come all the way down to the tailbone. So just feeling that activated all the way down the tailbone. Now it's going to go, we're going to keep sending it, and we're going to keep sending it down all the way to the area to about 8 inches below our feet. So I'm going to activate it a few more times. And I just want you to see if you can just keep on bringing in energy and sending it all the way down to just below the feet. And just feel this column of light just right coming down the core of your being. And you can decide you want to become like a vacuum and suck in more photons, more light. Like you can amp up the charge, and how big, how much can you bring in comfortably. Take another deep breath. And see if you can get a sense of that kind of coming down to the feet and just feeling that there. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to shift my attention, and I'm going to come to below the feet. And so I want you to put your awareness below your feet. And now we're going to send up this ascending charge. So maybe, maybe that almost got to your feet. It didn't quite get there. Maybe it got there, but it doesn't feel as strong down, from maybe the hips down. So now we're going to amplify the ascending current, thinking about those tendrils of lightning kind of coming up out of the ground. And this is the negative charge. The surface of the earth is negatively charged. So we're bringing up negative electric current into that central channel. Maybe bring it up your legs, and then make it to the tailbone and send it up. And these two currents spiral around each other, positive and negative. So just really feeling that. Maybe you can feel the spiraling, and it's almost like a rope that's there, so you can see the twisting of the rope and the flowing of this energy. And as what happens is, as our core strengthens, as we bring up energy from the earth and we bring down energy from the sun, and we strengthen our core, what that does is it strengthens the outer boundary of our field as well. And we need a strong outer boundary to keep us healthy. All your cells need to have the right amount of charge across cell membranes to function right. And your own bioplasmic bubble protects you from pathogens, whatever in the environment, electromagnetic radiation. So the stronger your core, the more light you're running through your core, the more light and energy you're running at the outer boundary of your field, the more integrity and resiliency you'll have. So this is just bringing into your awareness of your electromagnetic body. And we tend to think of ourselves this way. So I'm going to simultaneously really now take this bubble, because it feels like they were kind of floating in space, and I'm going to ground us. I'm going to tether us down to the ground. So dropping an anchor from that center under our feet, and just really sending that down to ground. Anytime you work with electricity, you want to be grounded. So let's just get a sense of that, of your electromagnetic bubble and how beautifully it's connected to the earth. And just really get a sense of being electromagnetically connected to the surface of the earth. Feeling that, but at the same time through the sun star, feeling electromagnetically connected to the sun and to the cosmos. We are starlight, this energy of electricity, and we're earth, we're mineral and water. So we're a beautiful combination and balance of the two. And our energy body sits between the sun and the earth in this beautiful toroidal bubble. Okay, let's take a nice deep breath. And that's just a feeling you can bring yourself back to again and again. Just draw in the energy from above, pull up the energy from below, strengthen your core, strengthen that outer boundary. Go outside, stand on the grass barefoot, underneath the sun, and pull in this energy. And when you imagine that and you feel it, you're creating it. Your intention is causing energy to flow in that way. If you ever need a boost or a pick-me-up or need to feel connected, just bring yourself back into that feeling and thought. Okay, that's your little tune-up.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Looking at the clock here, where it's time to go. This has been, as usual, Eileen, just a fascinating conversation. I want to thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your questions. Once again, Deeper Tuning for Your Electric Body starts Tuesday, August 6th, and you can visit yourelectricbodyadvanced.com to learn more and to register. But before we cut you loose, Eileen, do we have any final words for our viewers?
Well, if you're meant to do this program, you'll feel it. You'll know, you'll have a sense like this is something I need to do, even if it's a stretch. I just encourage you to do it. You'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did, and we'll all get to be there together at the end and do something really cool together. So, join in. If you're feeling it. And if not, maybe some point down the road it goes in the archives. So maybe if you're like, oh no, I don't have time for that detox right now, it's always an option down the road because it goes in the archives. So, and you'll be in the hologram no matter what.
Good to know. Yes. Thank you again, Eileen. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for being here with us. Once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And on behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.